What's up guys, Adapark here, and today I have a different sort of video for you guys. Very much so like the raid progression and drama video I did a week ago. This one is very much so off the cuff. Normally I like to prepare at least a very quick basic outline, kind of get my thoughts in order. However, I wasn't sure that I wanted to actually make this video. I thought of several different ways of handling it. And in the end, I decided that I really liked sitting down and talking about some of the issues that my raid ran into, my guild ran into last week. And while it may not be as organized or, hit, point after point after point, and it might be a little bit rambly, the fact is that it was really good to get it off my chest. And it was just a very good experience. And so that's what we're going to do today. I had thought of many different ways to do this video, even a new video in the series on creating and managing a guild. And we probably will get into that. But something happened today, and it's been a long time coming, and I kind of want to talk about it. I want to share my thoughts and see where it goes. So if we are being completely honest here, my guild ended Hellfire Citadel, ended Warlords of Draenor in a not so great spot, at least from my perspective. When I was promoted to guild leader way back in the day, Mr. Pandaria, the current guild leader said, hey, look, I can no longer take the stressors that come with leading a guild. I'll promote you. Boom, he did it. I sat down, and I've talked about this before. I sat down with the guild, and every single member, I said, we're going to sit down, and we're going to talk about it. We're not raiding tonight. Instead, we're going to talk about the guild and where we want to go. And the guild in its entirety said, look, we want to do, at the time, heroic, which is now mythic content. We want to do the difficult content. Warlords of Draenor starts up. And again, I have this talk, what do we want to do? We want to do difficult content, and then Legion comes up, and again, and I did a video on it. We have the talk, we want to do heroic and mythic content. We did not step into mythic content until Hellfire Citadel. We have struggled for many different reasons to fill a raid group. And there were nights, and this is the worst feeling as a raid and or guild leader. There are nights where we would sit there until, my raid starts at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and we would sit there till 10 o'clock, waiting on pugs, waiting on people to log in, waiting, and it was god-awful. And it felt like crap, and it was depressing. And we ended Hellfire Citadel 5 out of 13 Mythic. I would have loved to have gone further. We had trials, we had tribulations. I've mentioned it before. We lost a lot of good players due to real life schedules, whether it be promotions or losing their job. We lost a handful, 3 or 4 great players, one of them being an officer of mine, because they decided, as they were a group of friends, that they would prefer to continue their education and get their master's degree. And they knew, and very much so felt after first few weeks, that they were not going to be able to keep up with the raid content and the workload from the master's program. Totally cool. I fully support, if you want to get your education, I'd much rather you spend 2 or 3 hours doing that every night rather than playing WoW. With that being said, we moved into Legion as a guild, the guild leadership, myself and my second in command, where we talked to the guild, and the guild almost unanimously said we want to do heroic and mythic content. And I talked to my second in command, and I said, look, here's what we're going to push. And the second in command said, I don't know that we're going to be able to do that right off the gate. Right out of the gate, right from the beginning. And I said, no, we got to push. I don't know, man. And we bumped up recruiting, and once raids came out, which were, the 20th of September, about 2 weeks ago now, we bumped up recruiting, and we started raiding. And a lot of complaints started coming in for my second in command. My one officer, me being the guild and the raid leader, I got a lot of complaints leading up to raiding, and then during the actual raid time. Complaints such as, I'm trying to recruit people, and, we have people that are whispering me saying, hey, do you need this class? And he's online, and I whisper him, I say in guild chat, I say in officer chat, because all of my members can speak in officer chat, they just cannot see it. That way it gives them a chance to kind of, unanimously, anonymously, mention something to the officers, or, get it out, broadcast it out to all of us. And, I got complaint after complaint after complaint of, this guy is not responding for hours on end. He's not doing any recruiting. He's not doing this, that, or the other. And then when the raid started, I said to my second in command, I said, look, we need help. We are rocking 25 people in this raid, and I can't keep up with everything. I can't keep up with the healers, the tanks, the DPS, calling things out, looking over logs, making sure people are gemmed, making sure people are enchanted, trying to see, are you running rot to the right place? Are you running, fire to this place? Are you running, I can't see it all, and you can't see it all. And we agreed we would promote a second person to the rank of officer. And after that first week, my new officer pulled me aside and he said, hey, look, you and I need to chat. He said, here's the deal. Your other officer, the initial one, and I don't want to name names, but, the first officer here, he isn't doing his job. From a leadership perspective, he's doing fuck all. Meaning he isn't doing anything at all. He is sitting on his ass collecting loot, collecting artifact power, and doing nothing. He holds the rank, but he is bearing none of the responsibilities. Which in there is a leadership teaching lesson right there. Is just because you're in charge doesn't mean that you get everything. You still have to bear the very heavy weight of responsibility and leadership. But that's for another video. He pulled me aside and he talked about this, and it kind of opened my eyes a little bit. I'll admit, one of my biggest problems that I've very quickly resolved a decent amount is the fact that I'm a softie. I spent a lot of time in the Marine Corps. I spent a lot of time deployed. And I can yell, I can scream, I can, say shit that would make you cry. And I've made people cry. But at the same time, my philosophy up to this point has always been, I'm not paying you and you are paid to play. So I'm very limited on what I can and cannot do. And when this new officer pulled me aside and told me all this and kind of opened my eyes of, look, as far as a leadership position goes, he's not doing his job. As far as a raiding position goes, he's not doing his job because his DPS is subpar. He is playing probably one of the worst specs, i.e. a Fury Warrior, in the game right now. He's not pulling the numbers. He's far below the tanks on every single attempt. He is dying, 60 seconds into a fight. Even then, he's not calling anything out. He's ignoring everybody. The list goes on and on and on. And at first, I didn't know what to do. Because this was a shock. I mean, this guy has been in the guild for a year more than me. I mean, now I'm coming up in February on a decade. So he's been in the guild about 11 years. And I didn't know what to do. And, I would get messages from other people, other core raiders that had been in the guild for years, saying the exact same thing. He's not answering me. I've waited for 3 hours, asking him a question every 20 minutes for 3 hours, and I'm getting no response. And I pulled this guy aside with my new officer, and I said, look, here are our worries. You're not doing your job. You're dying. What is going on? And the response that we got was, look, I'm in the game. I'm if I'm AFK, it's because I'm taking care of stuff. I'm not ignoring anybody. I have no problems with anybody in the guild, based on any number of different variables, color, creed, gender, sexual preference, whatever. I I love everybody, no problem whatsoever. Everything's good to go. Next raid comes up, same thing. Perfectly quiet, no response to anything, no response to whispers, nothing in officer chat, not calling anything out, dying low DPS, whole thing. Pull him aside again, talk to him, and then last night when we cleared normal, just to get some gear for some of the folks that were kind of new and a little bit on the low side, and we switched over to heroic, and the whole time I never saw him online. I sent out raid invites to everybody. I use Exorcist raid tools, so it picks up evals, the new applicants all the way up. And when I saw him log off and then log on to an alt, I whispered him and said, "Hey man, where you been?" And this is 2 hours into the raid. And he said, "I got on 5 minutes late." Again, that's a leadership lesson right there. You were late. And I didn't get a raid invite, so I assumed you guys didn't want me. And I was like, all right, let's chat after the raid, because we got another hour to go. So we end the raid, and I say, hey, can you jump on Ventrilo? Jump in the officer channel. I'd really like to chat about this. And he said, look, I can't jump into OChat right now. I can't get into Ventrilo because, the girlfriend's asleep, the kids are asleep. I really don't want to wake them up. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That's totally cool. And I warned you guys from the get-go. This was going to be a little rambling. So he said, look, I can't do it. Impossible. Not going to happen. Not pissing off the girls. Cool. Let's talk about it in officer chat. Here's the deal. You logged in late. You didn't say shit, and you logged into alts and you're not even whispering anybody. I texted you. You didn't say anything. The whole shebang. Like, you're completely ignoring your guild leader and your raid leader. And his response was nothing. He literally said nothing, to the point where I had other people asking me in guild chat, is he there? The other officer was like, hey, is he even saying anything? Or, whatever. Nothing. So this evening, I got him into vent, and I did something that I never thought I was going to have to do, but it's something that I had to do. I said to him, look, there are two problems right here that we have with you, or that rather I have with you, because it is completely my problems with this guy, and it is my job to fix them as the guild leader. So I said, look, there are two problems that I'm having with you right now. First and foremost, when it comes to being in a leadership position, you're not pulling your weight. In fact, you're pulling no weight. In fact, you are negative weight because you are filling a spot that somebody else that could legitimately do the role could be in. And you're not doing anything, and you're giving a bad impression, and you're bringing a lot of disrespect and a lot of hate and discontent to the officers because they're messaging you and you're not responding for 3 hours, and then they assume that that's how the guild is, that your guild leadership, your officers, your guild leader aren't going to respond, and you got to deal with it. I said, look, you're not pulling your weight. I'm going to demote you. And he, surprisingly enough, said, I get it. I haven't been. I get it. I said, the second issue here is the fact that you are playing a Fury Warrior. You're telling me that warriors in general are in a very poor state. I was like, looking at WoW progress, I don't believe that to be the case. They're not number one, but they are up there. And the fact is, you want to play Fury when Arms is clearly a better spec, and that could change. I could be completely wrong. I'm not 100% knowledgeable on Warriors, so you guys in the comments, don't hate on me too much. But the fact is, when you're below the tanks, regardless of what spec you are, if you're DPSing and you're below the tanks, you're not doing your job. You're playing like shit. I said, so we really have three options here. The first option is that you switch to an alt that you can play, you gear it up, and you get into the raid. The second one is that you stop raiding, and the third one is that you sit until you fix your warrior, and that might be 7.1, 7.2, that might be the next expansion. And he said, I'll sit, I might come back later. And it's not exactly what I wanted to hear, but at the same time, it's what really needed to happen. And so I demoted him to a non-raiding member of my guild, a man that has raided with me for a decade, that's raided in general with the guild for about 11 years. And for the first time in the history of the guild, this guy has been benched completely, demoted from a leadership position all the way to a non-raiding position where he has very little rights as far as raiding goes. And he will stay that way. And on the one hand, like I said, it sucks because of the time investment for him, and for his stalwart dedication to playing a Fury Warrior. When the options are fix it, play something else, or sit, and he chose to sit. But at the same time, the benefits of having him around did not at all come close to the negative issues that popped up because he was around. The extremely low DPS, the dying, where we're burning a battle res that we could use on a tank, that we could use on a healer, that we could use on a DPS that's pulling, stupid high numbers, 3, 4, 500k. And we're going to burn it on the guy pulling 120k that just died 30 seconds into the fight because he ran rot the wrong way. And overall, it sucks. But it's something that needed to happen. So what I'm saying to you, and the reason why I wanted to kind of make this a, could you do this in a guild, when you're managing and running a guild kind of video, and instead I chose to make it a little bit more rambly to kind of, get it off my chest. Can you, when all is said and done, do the same thing? If you are in this situation, could you sit someone that's been in your guild for 11 or 12 years? So, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for making it this far into the video. If you did, give this video a like. If you liked it, hit that thumbs up button. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. By all means, please do both of those things because it really encourages me to come up with more content like this. If there's anything you want to see, comments down below or shoot me a message. And until next time, guys, I'll see you.